Gen X, single, and still want a partner? You're cooked, right? Let's talk about this mindset I keep seeing, especially in the comments of my recent posts. The idea that if you're Gen X, single, and still want a relationship, you might as well give up, like the ship has sailed. A lot of Gen X women I see online have found peace on their own. They've been through divorces, loss, chaos, disappointment, and they finally hit a point where peace feels better than possibility. And honestly, I get it. When you've lived a little, you're done with chaos. You're done with someone becoming a second job. You don't have the energy to fix anyone anymore. But here's the part nobody's saying. If you've gone to therapy, learned from your past, worked on your triggers, and you're clear on what you want, that doesn't make you harder to love. That makes you rare. Because peace shrinks the dating pool. Because now you can spot red flags before they turn into projects. And when you're not desperate, you don't tolerate patterns that used to slip through the cracks. So you might feel like options are thinner, but the truth is, alignment is better. And you know what? Those who match you are looking for you too. You just have to show up authentically and let people see your values, not just your highlight reel. And you know what? When I decide to date again, I'm approaching it differently. I know what I bring to the table. I know the version of me I've grown into. And instead of asking if they like me, I'm asking, do I like who I am around them? If it's mutual, great. If not, no hard feelings. You know what? We move with respect, not ghosting. And we save our energy for someone whose nervous system feels like home. When peace becomes non-negotiable, partnership becomes intentional. What are your non-negotiables?
So welcome back to veetaveetv. So the men are saying that it's basically non-existent in finding a good woman anymore after 45. So we're talking about dating after 45. So men are saying that women are lazy. They don't want anything anymore. And they basically come into your life with a bunch of drama. And so they're saying that they're satisfied being alone and having peace into their life. So why do you think so? Do you think that all of the good women are already snatched up and married? Or do you think that finding a decent woman these days is pretty much non-existent? So let's sit back, let's relax, and let's listen to more stories on men dating after 45. So let's continue.
Hey y'all, me again. So after my last post, somebody reached out to me, and I had a lot of people reach out and send messages and have suggestions and stuff. And reached out, and we messaged back and forth, and we set up a date. So the first thing I want you guys to tell me in the comments is, my idea for the first date, was it good, bad, or okay? So this young lady and I messaged back and forth. We decided we're going to go on a first date, and I planned out a first date, scheduled stuff. And my plan was, she told me in our conversations that over the last 20 years, she hadn't received but like 2 Christmas presents. And over the last 20 years in her relationship, she had gotten flowers maybe 3 times. So the first part of my first date was, when she got here, she was going to come up here. And when she got here was to have a Christmas present wrapped up for her and a dozen roses here, so she got some flowers. And then I had scheduled for us to go to, there's a place where I live called Player One Up. It's basically like an 80s arcade where you have dinner or lunch, and it's got old video games and stuff. It's a really cool place. That was where we're going to do lunch. And then downtown, they had this thing that's called a treasure hunt, where you go to different restaurants and establishments and bars and stuff, and you kind of try to find stuff there. That was the second part. And then she wanted to go to a place that's in South Carolina called Pretty Place. I was going to drive down to Pretty Place, check it out for the sunset, come back to where I'm from, have dinner at the best restaurant in town, and then to end the night, have a fire pit. And where my fire pit is at my house, I also have a hot tub with a big screen projector to where we could watch a movie, and you sit by the fire, get in the hot tub if we wanted to, you sit by the fire. Well, that was my plan. I had it all scheduled out. I thought it was really cool, and she was on board. And, she had one actually suggested that we go out this weekend. Then I get a text message that says, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, that she needed to do what she wanted to do for herself instead of always trying to please others. And I was like, okay, what's that mean? And she's like, I can't come. I'm going to do what my original plans were, and I'm not going to come up there, and we're not going to go on this date. So it threw me for a loop, man, because this was a real nice young lady, has her stuff together, seemed very considerate, kind of like on the same board, the same wavelength I am. She was a little bit younger than me. I'm 53. She was 43. But she just canceled on me. And after that, I mean, she felt bad, she said, and stuff. And I was just like, why did I even bother? So I guess my question is, one, was it a good first date plan? Was that something sounds cool? Or was it too over the top? Or was it not enough? Two, is that how are you supposed to react when somebody cancels on you when you have a big plan on there for a weird reason? And three is, at this point, man, I'm ready to find a hobby or a dog or something. So anybody got any suggestions on something cool to do to where it just doesn't matter anymore? As always, God bless. I love you. Have a great night.
But at 50, it's the men who marry women in their 50s. All right. So if you look at the U.S. Census data, when you start looking at single women, it shrinks by the time women get like 60. So most 60-year-old women have either been married or are going to get married. Why? Because the men, when they turn 50, don't want to die alone. Right. So they started getting serious. So if you date someone in your 50s as a 50-year-old, that man is out of the player phase. Right. You get what I'm saying?
He might not even have no juice left.
He wants to settle down. He wants to travel the world with someone, or he's open to a woman, exposing him to new things, to fun. He wants to backsplash. He wants chandeliers. He wants host Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff that men don't think about. They want that lifestyle. So women in their 50s actually date at a higher date.
Dating over 50 is a whole different game, and nobody hands you the rule book. I mean, you match with somebody, you message back and forth, and then nothing. No first date, no connection, just silence. Sound familiar? Yeah, I've been there. After my divorce, I had to relearn how to date again. Online, over 50, and nothing was the same as it used to be. But I learned what actually gets attention, and more importantly, what gets results. So I created a 5-day challenge called Digital Dating Over 50. It shows you exactly how to message, connect, and land that first date every time. It's $24.99, and it's for smart, relationship-ready people who are done wasting time. The link is in my bio. Let's get you in front of the right person, not just another ghost.
I was asked a very interesting question the other day. They asked me, what do 50-plus-year-old men look for in a woman when they are dating? I thought that was a great question. Now, contrary to what you may see on social media or the internet, let me say it like this, any 50-year-old man and above, worth his weight in gold, is not looking for this super young woman. Younger women bring drama, they bring emotion, been there, done that. So what are they looking for? Well, the first thing that they're looking for is they're looking for someone who is settled in their life. They are solid in their emotional realm. Secondly, they're looking for someone who's excited about life and who wants to share life together with them, that is ready to go on an adventure because they've got their life in a certain amount of order where they can do that. So let me just be clear. I'm not talking about this type of single guy or this type of single older guy. I'm talking about this type of guy and this type of guy. They're looking for someone who they believe can eventually spend the rest of their life together, husband and wife, on an adventure on the second half of their life.
Is it just my algorithm, or is there like no success stories for people who are 40s, 50s, divorced and dating? So when I see videos that men put up, it's dismal. I don't think I've seen a success story. And for women, it's the same, pretty much. They seem to get a lot more dates though, but they're pretty set on being on their own. They're pretty content. And I'm wondering, like, what made us come to that? Like, for me, I wasn't that way until the last year or so. I'm curious if you're divorced, if you're in your 40s or your 50s. I'm curious if, my story resonates with you. I've been married twice. First time I was really young. I married somebody that I was infatuated with in high school. We were married for 15 years. We had a daughter. She's now grown with 3 kids of her own. And then after that, I got remarried within a couple of years. Had another daughter, and she's now 13. So this winter, it'll be 6 years since my second marriage ended. And this was like about a little over a year after buying what was my dream home, after rebuilding my life after the first divorce, living in small apartments, things like that. My dad died in September of 2018, and that kind of like kicked me in the ass and said, you need to like get yourself a house and stop waiting for the perfect situation. So I found this house, and it was everything I could want. We bought it, and I thought that would like make us happy, and it didn't. And then, a little over a year later, at that point, we're talking 2020. This is like when COVID's about to kick off. This happens in February, go into March, the country gets shut down. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, don't know what the future holds for me. I haven't dated much in my life. Getting married young and then getting remarried pretty quickly, I didn't have a lot of dating experience. When you're out of the dating scene for 15 years, then 10 years or so, you don't know what you're doing. So I remember really being down in the dumps and not knowing what I was going to do. I felt lonely. Marriages don't end at the end. They end long before you actually call it quits. So I hadn't really had a partner in a while. And I hadn't felt that feeling of connection and everything that goes along with that for quite some time. And when you get divorced, at least for me, you go on the apps and you see what's out there. You're curious, right? You want to see. And it's kind of demoralizing, especially for guys. And I remember thinking, how can I even date right now? I still live with my ex. We don't know what we're doing about the house yet. I don't know when this is all going to be finalized. So how can I date? Who's going to be interested in dating somebody with that kind of situation? On top of it, we're in the middle of COVID. But one day I get this message on OkCupid from someone. I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was some scam or something. But this person was attractive and I was interested, and we started talking, and it moved very quickly. And it became like an escape. It became this thing, and I enjoyed spending time with her. I was attracted to her. I liked who I was with her because I was being really active, and just it was something to take me away from this horrible situation I was in. But it lasted for 5 months, and I'm not going to go into details, but I made some dumb decisions that I had to deal with for a good year and a half afterwards. I didn't understand relationships. I didn't understand the phases of a relationship, honeymoon phase. I thought when you're getting all these feelings and stuff, it meant you're in love and all that kind of stuff. And it was mutual. It was like, but I didn't get that. I didn't get that whole process. I didn't understand attachment styles, any of it. I was kind of flying blind. I just wanted this feeling and this thing to continue because I enjoyed it. It made me feel good until it didn't. And that ends. Like a month later, I start talking to somebody else. That ends up being an almost 2-year relationship. And that one was the one that stuck. That was the one that was hard when it ended. That was the one that hard to get over. But like before, after that ended, it didn't take me long, good 6 to 8 weeks, and I met somebody else. And that person was a really good fit for me in a lot of ways. That lasted almost 2 years, and it was fun, and we did a lot of fun things together and stuff, but we weren't aligned. We weren't in the same place in life. And we just ended up, it didn't work out. So up until that ended, I was always hopeful and believed in a happily ever after, somebody to grow old with. Also, getting older, I felt like I was running out of time. I needed to hurry up and find someone while I still was young enough, even though I'm in my 50s. But the last year, since that ended a year ago, I haven't even attempted to date. I haven't even thought about it. And it's not because I was hung up on that last relationship. It's because I kind of got burnt out. I gave up the idea of finding somebody that I align with, finding someone that I had enough energy for while being a single dad and everything that goes along with it. Work, commuting, all of it. I'm not in my 20s or 30s anymore. I only have so much energy. When I was in the relationships, that motivated me. That made me want, because I wanted those things. I was motivated. I made the effort for sure. But I kind of hit a wall. And over the last year, I've been telling myself, you need to figure yourself out. You need to figure your life out. You need to get to a place where you feel better about your situation. You feel better about your life, that you have, like your cup is full and it's overflowing, so you have enough to give to somebody else. That's what people say, right? That's what I've been telling myself. And the truth is, I've kind of gotten set in my ways, or set being alone, getting comfortable with it on some level. But it is lonely too. I miss having somebody to spend time with and do things with, everything that goes along with that. But I don't know. I mean, have other people just hit a wall and gotten to a point where you're just like, what, is it worth it anymore? What's the point? I don't know. It seems like things have changed. I don't know, due to social media, or I don't know. The climate in this country is not good. Economically, who knows? There's a lot of uncertainty. Housing prices are through the roof. Food, everything else. It's like, I don't know. There's just so much negativity. There's just this feeling like you're stuck. Or at least that's how I feel. And I don't know. I'm surprised, because before I always had this drive to meet somebody, to be with somebody. And maybe it was for validation. Maybe it was, I don't know. But I'm scared to do it now, to be honest. I'm just scared. I don't know. I hope those feelings change at some point and I get motivated to do that again. But I don't know. Maybe just when we get older, maybe when we're in our 50s, we've been through so much and we've gotten set in our ways. I don't know. I'd be curious what other people think, though. Thanks.
A number of guys over 50 are simply looking to live a peaceful life. That's it. It's that simple. And what he hates about women at this particular stage of his life are women can sometimes be clingy and desperate, and he feels that tension and that pressure when he runs across a woman who's interested in him. And so I'm saying, ladies, if you're interested in a relationship with a guy over 50, just know that what you want to do is get to know him first. And this is if you're invested in a relationship. If you're looking for fun, or you're just doing something at a spur of the moment, then you do what you feel you have to do, as long as you don't feel that you're going to become emotionally attached with this guy as you move along in the friendship or the relationship. But if you are someone who is looking for a relationship, then take your time. I believe in the 90-day rule. Not everybody does, but it's something that you may want to consider so that you can get to know the person. Because if you don't, it can be extremely dangerous to run up on a guy that you think is your all in all, your knight in shining armor, and then he ends up to be someone who is very dangerous in your life. So get to know the person before you invest physically and emotionally into somebody, until you know that this is a person that's got your best interest and who is interested in the same things that you're interested in, which is a relationship.
If you're Gen X, single, and still want a partner, you're cooked, right? Let's talk about this mindset I keep seeing, especially in the comments of my recent posts. The idea that if you're Gen X, single, and still want a relationship, you might as well give up, like the ship has sailed. A lot of Gen X women I see online have found peace on their own. They've been through divorces, loss, chaos, disappointment, and they finally hit a point where peace feels better than possibility. And honestly, I get it. When you've lived a little, you're done with chaos. You're done with someone becoming a second job. You don't have the energy to fix anyone anymore. But here's the part nobody's saying. If you've gone to therapy, learned from your past, worked on your triggers, and you're clear on what you want, that doesn't make you harder to love. That makes you rare. Because peace shrinks the dating pool. Because now you can spot red flags before they turn into projects. And when you're not desperate, you don't tolerate patterns that used to slip through the cracks. So you might feel like options are thinner, but the truth is, alignment is better. And you know what? Those who match you are looking for you too. You just have to show up authentically and let people see your values, not just your highlight reel. And you know what? When I decide to date again, I'm approaching it differently. I know what I bring to the table. I know the version of me I've grown into. And instead of asking if they like me, I'm asking, do I like who I am around them? If it's mutual, great. If not, no hard feelings. You know what? We move with respect, not ghosting. And we save our energy for someone whose nervous system feels like home. When peace becomes non-negotiable, partnership becomes intentional. What are your non-negotiables?
The men in their 50s are divorced, are like literally not walking upright. So they have no idea how to communicate. Your age and 40s are better than the 50s.
I avoided every single feeling until I was probably 31. But the majority of guys can't at all connect their head, their heart, and their mouth. So they don't know how to say what they're thinking and feel what they're feeling and then speak all those things. And when they don't have an ability to connect, they're using all different ways to try and connect. Those same guys are showing up with the Chanel bag because they don't know what else to do, and that's the problem. But
or only concerned and insecure about the fact that they can't buy the Chanel bag, which is also something not to focus on. Fair point.